What is up, BB Fanatics? We are back with day 3 in the house, the live feed updates. But first, let's roll the intro. As tensions rise in a very diplomatic household, we're starting to see alliances form. We see this new school side of the house and this old school side of the house. Now, the main talking point of the day is that Kevin and Keisha are both up on the block, and this has caused some ripples throughout the house. Now, obviously, Cody wanted to go with something that wasn't going to really shake the house, but he needed to make some sort of move. Now, unfortunately, because Janelle and Kaser are safe, he couldn't go with that big swinging hit like he had kind of mentioned he wanted to. Now, right before the nomination ceremony, Kevin and Cody had a long talk, making it very difficult for Cody to make his decision. However, with nobody else really to put up, he decides to continue through and put Kevin and Keisha on the block. As the day goes on, we see, of course, all 16 house guests talking game and also just kind of hanging out, and we've learned a couple things about some of these house guests. The first one being that Danny Donato, or Danny Briones, is somebody who likes to spill a lot of information to just about anybody, and this could prove to be very detrimental to her game, especially that she's now working kind of side by side with Franzel. The other thing that we notice is that Janelle is not a fan of Franzel. However, when they're in the same room together, they act very cordial, but I could definitely see this being kind of a rival between the two throughout the rest of the season. We also see Bailey have her first breakdown of the season as the stress is mounting and the game is really getting into play. Now here's where the good stuff comes. About 2:30 in the morning, we see Kaser on one side of the screen and Nicole Anthony on the other side of the screen, both of which are very much conspiring about what's going on in the house. Now, on the Kaser side of the screen, we see him having this major mental breakdown because he's worried that Keisha will go home. This stems from a conversation that him and Keisha had about Memphis possibly throwing the veto because he doesn't believe that Keisha's the target. Now, Kaser, being the highly intelligent player that he is, has called out all of Cody's moves and fully believes that Keisha will be the main target for the week. Now, on the Nicole Anthony side of the screen, we see her kind of conspiring and thinking about the different ways that this game is going. Her thoughts are that maybe Tyler and Janelle are working together and maybe different other people are in that group as well, and it's just kind of off. It doesn't really match what the house is actually doing. So we have these two different sides of the screen. We have Nicole thinking that Janelle is working against her. We have Kaser thinking that the rest of the house is working against him, and they're both going crazy. Now at this point, Kaser is done with his conversation with Keisha, goes out into the main area of the house, and starts to have an even bigger breakdown. He's worried because he knows he needs to get a hold of Memphis tonight, but he's upstairs in the have-not room asleep, and you can't really get in there. You'd have to like army crawl in there. So Kaser's main idea is that he could go to Nicole, have Nicole go up and get Memphis, bring Memphis down so that he can have this discussion. However, I mean, this literally happened like 5 minutes after Nicole was just sitting up there worried that the Janelle side of the house was conspiring against her. So when he comes up to her, she almost seems hesitant to even have this conversation. Shortly after, Janelle walks in and calms Kaser down, saying, "We don't need to deal with this right now. We just need to go to bed. We need to go discuss this somewhere else." Janelle then talks Kaser down. They decide that at the end of the day, if Keisha goes home, that might be their best bet. Because if they're caught playing for the veto and playing hard for the veto and then taking somebody off in the first week, it won't benefit their long-term game. So as you can see, this crazy house is getting all sorts of stirred up, and we're about to see a very crazy season come to light. Now, I think a lot of this will happen today after the veto, and we really start to get an idea of where everybody stands. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I hope it was helpful in understanding more of what's going on in this crazy house. If you have any questions or comments, or if I missed a favorite part of yours from the feeds, make sure to leave that down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Make sure to leave a like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. I'll see you guys in the next one.